of this webinar, along with this keynote, will be posted in the Commons and also in the Commons Facebook group. And so the main thing is not to worry. If things feel like they've gone by fast today, you'll have resources to turn to, and you'll be able to review those at your leisure and watch and rewatch. But my idea today is to make you feel really comfortable about using editing audio. Sort of, if maybe some of you were here for Steven Zucker talking about Photoshop a couple of weeks ago, but even a little bit of Photoshop work on an image can do a lot. The same thing with an audio. If you've recorded an audio lecture or a, part of a lecture or whatever, even just a little cleaning up of the audio can make it so much more enjoyable for people to listen to. And there's really only, a few things that I'm going to teach you today that are very straightforward. And the idea of this next 20 minutes is just to make you feel like, oh, that doesn't seem so hard. I can do that. And then you can go back and review the resources and do it yourself. So 4 reasons to use audio. Audio and still images can do a lot. You can, just like an audio guide or in a dark classroom, you can focus on the image. You can, have your students look at the image while you're talking and listening, and they're listening. And so it's just a really effective way to learn and communicate. Editing audio, so much easier than editing a video. When you edit a video and you've got some ums you want to edit out, you've got problems with the video and you have to add B-roll to cover that up. None of that is necessary with editing audio. And I should say before we go on that if you have questions, use the Q&A and we'll be monitoring those and we can answer at the end. The other really good thing about audio, which I especially appreciate and don't appreciate about Zoom, is not being on the camera. And, there's something really relaxing about that makes it easier to deal with. So we're going to do these 4 things to know about editing audio. One is making cuts. So being able to cut out an cutting out some silence, cutting out something that you no longer want to keep into the audio, moving the pieces, the existing pieces together. So you've removed something that you've deleted and you're going to move the pieces that continue to be there together. Then you're going to join. I'm going to show you how to join those pieces back into a seamless whole, and then export the video. So we're going to sort of really GarageBand basics, but in a way, this is really all you need to know. So let's just start with the most obvious thing. This is what GarageBand looks like when you open it. It can look a little intimidating, but we're going to focus on really just the basics and not a lot of functionality, because you don't need a lot of functionality to do what we're going to do today. So the wiggly lines you see, those are all the sounds. That's the sound signature. And really that's just a visual representation of the recorded sounds. The flat lines are essentially silence or the sound of the room. Small little bumps like you see here are likely a breath or a quiet sound. And then the bigger wiggles are, or bumps are words. And that's with the basics of the sound signature. So let's talk about getting set up. So the way that we structured these conversations is I'm going to walk through this keynote, which we're going to make available. And then I'm going to do a live demo. So you'll actually get to see this twice. All right, so let's just focus on getting set up in opening GarageBand. So once you open GarageBand, it looks like this. And you're going to just choose from the new project menu, you're going to choose empty project. Then you'll see this screen and you want to choose the icon that's the microphone, and that you can use for actually just recording in GarageBand or dragging in an audio file that you've recorded on a microphone or from somewhere else. Then the next thing to do is, because most people use GarageBand for music, is that we have to sort of turn off that music functionality that we don't need. And the two purple icons, one that seems to reflect beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the other that looks like a metronome, you're just going to turn those off. Just click those buttons and they'll turn gray. And then we don't want to measure beats, we want to measure time, because we want to keep track of how long our audio file is. So use that little pull down menu here and choose time. All right, then you're close to all set. You want to open your Finder window and drag in an audio file, unless you've recorded an audio file already here in GarageBand. And when you do that, you'll see you've brought in the sound signature. It's that brown bar. This is called a track here. And you'll see here that almost a quarter of the GarageBand screen is taken up with this thing called the library. We're not going to use the library, and we want to really use the whole screen here to edit. So you're just going to click that and close the library, and then you'll have a nice full screen to work with. Now, with GarageBand, you actually get two views of the audio, and we'll talk about in a minute about why. But you want to go from seeing on the bottom here, this equalizer, these equalizer controls, you actually want to use the bottom area to edit. So in order to make this track appear down here in the editor, you just double click on the sound signature and it will appear down here at the bottom. And this is really the main area you'll be using. So if we learn our way around GarageBand a little bit more, we have this macro view, and that's a sort of big view. That's sort of if you want to move big pieces around. Really what we're going to be doing today, all you need to focus on is this bottom panel, which is where you actually do the editing. And here it's looking really tiny and narrow and hard to see. So you can actually grab this bar here and move it up. And so you've enlarged the area where you're doing the editing, making things easier to see. Okay, a couple of more things to know. On both the top and the bottom, you'll see sliders in the upper right corner. These allow you to zoom in and zoom out. So if we're just thinking about the bottom editing area, you'll want to zoom in when you are doing kind of fine editing, zoom out a little bit when you're doing less fine editing. So it's a very important tool to use. I use it pretty constantly when I'm doing editing. The easiest thing to do to play the audio is to just press the space bar. If you press the space bar once on your computer, it'll start to play. And if you hit the space bar again, it'll pause. So it's pretty easy. Where is it playing from? It's playing from where your playhead is. The playhead is this vertical bar here. And your audio will always play from that location. You can also use buttons that you might be more comfortable with up here to play, to go back to the beginning, to go to the end, and things like that. So I made a little video here of how to move the playhead, because there's only one little tricky piece to this, which is that you have to move the playhead along this beige top area, not in the bottom brown area. So put your cursor along the beige colored bar at the top, and you can slide the playhead or you can jump around. So there I am sliding the playhead back and forth. And here I am jumping around with the playhead. As long as your cursor is in that top area, you're fine. We're going to also use the playhead to mark where we want to edit. All right, so now let's actually edit or walk through the steps of editing, and then I'll do an actual demo where you can see me editing. So the first thing to do is to make sure you've actually clicked on, you've selected the area that you're going to work on. So let me play this little short video and I'll narrate through it. So you see when I selected it, that top bar turned to that light brown. And let's edit out this piece of silence here between the words. What you do is you put your playhead at the beginning and the end. First, I did it here at the end and I clicked Command T to make a cut. Then I did it at the beginning and clicked Command T to make a cut. And then in order to get rid of that part that I want to cut, I went up to the edit menu and selected delete and move. Now that all happened really fast. So I did it again in slow motion so you can see. And I'll demonstrate it. So basically we put the playhead at the beginning of where I wanted to cut, the end of where I wanted to cut, and in the edit menu, delete and move. And it joined those two pieces and got rid of that middle piece that I wanted to get rid of. And again, I'll demonstrate this. So really, really important. This is a very common beginner mistake. Before you move on, once you've made the edit, move your playhead back a little bit and listen to the edit that you've made. It's really easy for beginners to miss a little bit of a word or cut into a little bit of a word. So you can always undo your edit, but it's much harder to undo, something that you've done, 20 steps before. So always listen and then you can fix it immediately. And, it's just Command Z, edit, undo, Command Z. And there it is, edit, undo. Okay, then you want to join. So you've made all these edits. You've removed ums and all these other things that you don't want. And you end up with, and you can see it on the top and bottom here, lots of pieces of audio where in between those pieces, you've removed some audio. So if you wanted to go back through this and sort of do a finer edit, just make sure there's nothing that you want to edit out more. You don't want to go and deal with these pieces. It just makes it very hard to work with. So you'll want to join these pieces into one seamless audio. And so to do that, you click on the track up in the lower upper left here. It selects everything. And then you go to the edit menu, you choose join, say okay, and then it joins it and those little pieces are gone. And you can edit the audio easily again. Then exporting. Again, very straightforward. Go up to the share menu at the top, choose export song to disk, and you can export it as a WAV file or an MP3 file. And really, that's it. It's sort of just like copying and pasting, in Microsoft Word. You're just deleting and joining. So a really common thing that happens is that you accidentally click this little loop functionality here. It's really easy to click by accident. The first 5 times I did it, it took me like 20 minutes to figure out how to turn it off. So that's the loop button. In case you click it, just click it again to unclick it. So editing principles, when you're, these are the sort of things that we've learned over the years at Smart History. My dog just walked into the room. One is this is the main thing, be ruthless. Edit out ums, pauses, breaths. There goes an it's just so much nicer to listen to. And when learners are listening, you're competing against a lot of other things that are on their laptops that they want to pay attention to. And so the more snappy, the tighter you can make it, the better. If it's not relevant to telling the story, just delete it. Sometimes I'll be editing audio and there'll be this passage where I feel like I just said that so well, and I just really want to keep it in, but it's not helpful. It doesn't help me tell the story that I'm telling about the work of art. And you just have to bite the bullet and delete it. I think audio video length is 4 to 6 minutes is ideal. Of course, you can do more, but if you can break things up into 4 to 6 minutes, that always works. That always works best. And so that's my talk, my keynote. But now I want to go into, and just a reminder to visit the Smart History Commons. I'm actually going to open up Garageband now and actually do a real demo for you. A live demo. And I should say that editing audio is one of my favorite things to do. It's just incredibly fun, I think. And I'm gonna just make a new audio file so it looks exactly like the steps that we followed in my keynote. So here's GarageBand. When you open it, empty project. In the new project menu, I'm gonna hit choose. I'm gonna make sure the microphone is checked here, and I'm gonna click create. Okay, now you notice that all those things that we talked about, I'm gonna turn off the metronome, turn off the beat counter, and go up here and set this to time. And now you can see I've got a little time bar up here that's showing seconds, so I can see how much time has passed when I'm working on my audio. And I want to get rid of this big library pane here as well. You see library here. I'm just going to click this box that looks like a little cabinet or something. That's gone. Then I want to make this area at the bottom bigger because I know I'm going to be editing down there. And now I'm going to go into my Finder, and I'm going to go to my desktop and grab the audio file that I want to edit. And I'm just going to drag it in here. If you wanted to, you could also just press the record button here and record right in GarageBand and skip this step. Now, in order to make this appear down here, I'm going to double click here. Oh, made it small again, so let's make it bigger. So I can see the sound signature really clearly. Let's show you what happens with the zooms here. So, oh, that's volume, sorry. Here's the zoom bar. It's hiding behind the zoom, the other zoom photos. So here, so I'm zooming all the way in, and then I'm zooming out. Same thing here, zooming in really tight, zooming out. I tend to keep it about halfway down here so I can see the sound signature. And you can see, I'm going to zoom in here too. You can see I'm looking at the same thing on the bottom as on the top. So here's this group of words, same thing over here. Okay, so let's actually listen, and you can, I'll do some editing. I'm going to press the space bar to start. We're in one of the first galleries in the Uffizi in Florence, looking at in a room filled with enormous images of the Madonna and Child. All right, so a couple of things immediately that I know I want to edit out. You can see the playhead moved as I was listening. I'm going to go back to the beginning, so I'm actually going to hit this button up here at the top, or I could drag my playhead. So obviously I want to get rid of this whole beginning area of just room sound at the Uffizi. So to do that, I'm going to put my playhead. Remember the playhead, when you want to move the playhead to be in this beige area at the top, make sure it's selected. Here it is unselected. I've just clicked and selected it. Put the playhead here. That's where I want to pick up. I'm going to hit Command T, and that made a cut. If I move the playhead, you can see the cut there. Made the cut right where the playhead is. And I'm actually, in this case, just going to drag it to the left because there's nothing before that I want to keep. Now to drag, just make sure your cursor is in the form of an arrow. One of the tricky things about GarageBand is when you're up here, the cursor is an arrow. When you're down here, it's a crosshairs. Make sure it's an arrow. Click and drag. All right, let's go back to the beginning again. I'm going to click this button up here to take my playhead back to the beginning and hit the space bar. We're in one of the first galleries in the Uffizi in Florence, looking at in a room filled. Okay, so I want to get rid of looking at, so that the audio says we're here at the Uffizi in Florence in a room filled with. So let's see where, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. I'm gonna use my little slider here, zoom in a little bit more, go back to the beginning and try to locate where I wanna make the cut, where I say looking at. We're in one of the first galleries in the Uffizi in Florence, looking at. Okay, so looking at is right here. And in case I'm not sure, I can just hit the space bar because it always plays from the space bar. And indeed, that's where looking at is. So now I'm going to hit Command T. And I want to pick up here with in a room filled. So I'm going to put the cursor here. Remember, make sure that the area you're working on is selected with the beige top. I'm going to hit Command T. And let me move my playhead out of the way. And you can see I've cut this section. There's a cut at the beginning and the end of it. I'm going to select it by clicking on it. And then I'm going to go up here. This is what I showed you in the keynote twice. This happens really fast. When you go up to edit and choose delete and move, it's going to really quickly delete that central area and bring the other two pieces together. So watch closely. There, it happens really fast. If I wanted to undo it, Command Z would undo it. I could do it again, delete and move. So now my audio is two pieces. So if I continued working, I would end up with an audio in lots and lots of pieces. And just quickly to show you how to really join them so you have a seamless audio file again, in case you want to go back through it. Make sure the track is chosen. So do that up here. Sorry. Do that up here. Click the track so it's all beige like this. In the edit menu, it's join regions, Command J. Create a new audio file. And you'll notice when you look at the audio, when you look at the sound signature, there are two parallel sound signatures. That's because the recording is in stereo. And our joining is done. And now we've got one seamless file. So that's audio editing, really straightforward. And when you're done, share, export song to disk, and you can save it as an MP3 or as a WAV file. And MP3 is condensed, a WAV file is raw. So those are the basics. And just doing a little bit of that will help your audios a lot. And now I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has any. Any questions today? Stop the audio, stop the recording.
Let's see, I'm popping in to help with the Q&A.
Yeah, thank you.
For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Lauren Kilroy-Eubank, and it looks like we just got a couple of questions in these last few minutes. And it looks like it says, is it possible to clean up the audio speaking part from the echoing noise? It's a good question.
Really good question. So this was not something I mentioned, but there is a noise reducer and an echo reducer in Garageband. I have found them over the years to be very difficult to use. And also I find that they add a kind of distortion to the audio. So with Smart History, actually I use a plugin in Garageband called Crumple Pop. And I think it's pretty inexpensive. Crumple Pop there are two Crumple Pops, one to reduce noise that works really well, and another that reduces echo really well. And so I would recommend using Crumple Pop, but there is that same functionality in GarageBand also if you want to give that a try.
Looks like we have another question about PC users.
Yeah. Okay.
Are there options, and do we have any experience, or do you have any experience with them?
Yes. So actually I started editing audio with on on a PC, and I used Audacity. So Audacity is a free program that you can use. It looks and works very similarly to Garageband, and some people prefer it. So, and there are tutorials online, but it's basically the same idea: cutting and then joining.
Let's
Any
see.
other questions?
It looks like those are all the questions for
Okay,
now.
Let me just show Crumple Pop quickly. Maybe I can do that just so you can see where it is.
That's a good idea.
So I clicked on this thing that looks like a little time clock, maybe. I never know what these icons are. And down here under plugins, I'm going to add a plugin. Let's see if Crumple Pop is showing. So here it is. So I've installed Crumple Pop in GarageBand, and I can denoise, or I can remove echo. So if I do audio denoise, it defaults to 80%, which is generally too much. So you can hear it now. Ahead of us when you enter the room is by the great artist, the great Florentine artist Giotto. This is called the Ognissanti Madonna. So you can kind of turn it on and off and play with it. And Ognissanti in Italian. And you can also, I generally keep it about 20% when I need it, or else it also starts to distort the audio. And other plugins for, for GarageBand, like reducing noise, can be found down here in this menu here. Any other questions?
We do.
Okay.
We have a great question, and it'll be very easy to answer. And it's, can you cut a section of the audio and paste it into another area of the audio?
Yes, I didn't demonstrate that today, but I can do it really fast now if you want. I'm going to close that, double click up here so we're looking at it again. We're in one of the first galleries in the Uffizi in Florence. Okay, so say I want to put that later somewhere. I've got my playhead here. The track is selected. Right now I'm not brown anymore, I'm blue and light blue, but I know it's selected when that light blue comes up here. I'm going to do Command T. Now what I usually do is I go up to track and do new track with duplicate settings. And click up here. So we're here again. And then I'll take this piece. I'm going to zoom in up here. This is where it's good to use the macro view. And I'll take this piece and I'll just hide it down here briefly. And then I'll scooch this over back to the beginning. And because I don't want to listen to this, I'm going to actually turn off the audio. Then I'm going to go back to the beginning, to the piece I'm listening to, which is blue and selected to. In a room filled with enormous images of the Madonna and Child. So say I want to put it right there. Command T. And here's where it's good to use this top. Macro view. I just drag it and bring it up. Join it. And bring those pieces together. In a room filled with enormous images of the Madonna and Child. We're in one of the first galleries in the Uffizi in Florence. So yeah, that's sort of like, that would be lesson 2 if we were going to proceed on to lesson 2.
Well, we have one final question I think is a great way to cap today's webinar, and that is, will we address adding the audio to images in our next seminar?
Yes, and that's you, Lauren.
That is me.
Yep. So the next step in making a Smart History style video is to take this audio, export it, and bring it into a program called ScreenFlow and add images and annotations and zoom and pan. And Lauren will show you how to do that next week. We're good?
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And if you have questions, please post them to Facebook or shoot us an email.
Yep. I'm happy to answer any questions about audio editing. Thanks, everybody.